where the government,
realmente hasta los oficiales,
our officials,
nos siguen acosando, nos siguen persiguiendo, donde realmente
they keep accosting us, they keep persecuting us, realistically for.
no nos dejan en paz, sino que nos siguen acosando.
They don't even leave us in any peace, and they keep accusing and attacking us.
¿Por qué? Porque nos quieren llevar,
because they wanna take us,
a juro, a los refugios,
to the shelters and to the refuge,
donde suceden muchas cosas,
where many bad things happen.
mucho atropello, mucha discriminación.
A lot of tricks, oppression, discrimination.
Migrants living near railroad tracks in Denver's Central Park neighborhood are going to be swept from that spot tomorrow. The city has offered shelter, and the people living there have refused it. Our Angeline McCall explains why.
Ya vamos a ir ahorita, ¿ya?
The migrants here are not only fighting the elements.
Aquí es donde duermen los niños y yo con ellos todo.
They're fighting for a chance at stability.
Bueno, no es fácil porque uno no está acostumbrado a vivir así, pero es lo que tocó.
Mandy Pimental has been at the Central Park encampment for a month with her 4 kids.
Con esto nos calentamos. Esto usamos para calentar.
Mandy wants to stay at this encampment, but the city has a planned sweep tomorrow because it's on private railroad-owned property.
El día de mañana nos han dicho que tenemos que desalojar.
Denver Human Services says families here have been offered 30 days in congregate sheltering. All of those offers turned down.
Pero en mi experiencia aquí, como en Denver.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. We have not talked about the illegals in a while, okay? We haven't talked about them, but that doesn't mean that the problem has went away, okay? The problem is still a big problem, right? It's a huge problem, okay? The border is still wide open. You still have illegals pouring into this country, and they're uppity, right? They're getting real uppity, and they're making demands that, in my opinion, are just unreasonable, especially considering how these people claim to be seeking asylum, which, you know, I got questions about, right? I don't think these people are actually really seeking asylum. They just want to come here for economic opportunities. They just want jobs, which, hey, I don't blame them. I mean, Biden's letting them in, and eventually they'll probably be able to stay. They'll get work permits, and they'll take American jobs and drive down wages on the free market. That's exactly what will happen. I mean, that's what Democrats want to happen in the long run. But I'm just saying, I don't think these people are truly seeking asylum because they're uppity, okay? They're making all types of crazy demands that just doesn't make sense if they're actually here from third world countries where they are escaping political persecutions, okay? I'm pretty sure in Venezuela, life is not that great, okay? Especially if you feel the need to trek thousands of miles across Central America to come to the American border, okay? In some cases, I mean, you have illegals from Africa who apparently swam across the Atlantic Ocean. I'm still utterly confused about how all these Africans have shown up to the border and they're coming into the country. I don't get it, bro. They're from, like, quite literally, we're getting illegals from everywhere. It's insane. I mean, it's not even a laughing matter. I can't laugh at it, but this is what's happening.
Central America, South America, Africa, Eastern Europe, China, India.
The nature of migration to the U.S. border is changing. Before the pandemic, nearly 9 out of 10 migrants came from the 4 countries closest to the southern border. Now, for the first time ever, the majority come from elsewhere, from more distant countries in the Americas, or from as far away as Africa and Asia. We have the world at our doorstep, in spite of our efforts to shut the door. CBP or the Mexican authorities come, plug up the hole with barbed wire, and then the smugglers just come and snip it open again. It's happened over and over, and it'll keep happening. Near this gap, we see about 30 migrants, all from China, walking into the U.S. Last year, 37,000 Chinese citizens crossed the border, according to Customs and Border Protection, 10 times as many as the year before.
A lot of the migrants that we've tried to approach are extremely camera shy. They're really nervous. Several groups have literally run away from us when we approach them. That's what these guys are doing right now.
So anyways, that takes us to Denver, Colorado, where you have illegals that are now moving to seize private property, right? So the land of American companies or some private citizen, they're seizing the land and the property, in order to set up encampments because they refuse to live in the shelters, okay? And that has put the city in somewhat of a difficult position for a liberal, okay? If you're a conservative mayor, this is not really a difficult problem, okay? Because, you know, the solution is easy. But for a liberal who, again, wants to take care of the illegals, it's a sticky situation because they want the illegals in the shelters, right? They want them in the shelters. They don't want them on the streets because having them on the streets, having them in these encampments is not good for the city, okay? I mean, these encampments can be a place where diseases can spread. It's not sanitary. Maybe crime, drug dealing, all types of crazy stuff happening in these encampments. But they're setting up these encampments like the left-wing communist college protesters, right? They're setting up these encampments, which appears to be a popular thing, by the way, across this country. And they're just staying there. And they're saying, well, we're going to stay out here if you don't provide better food, hot water, free healthcare, free mental services, right? If you don't give us everything that we demand, okay, because apparently they feel entitled to all of these services, all of these resources that they didn't pay for, by the way, they didn't contribute to. If you don't give us this, we're going to stay on somebody else's private property and we're not going to leave, right? And this is the situation that a lot of these liberal cities are now dealing with, okay, including Seattle. These migrants saying, well, we're not going to stay in the shelters. We're just going to take other people's property and land. We'd rather live in tents in an encampment rather than to live in these shelters. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Happening today, the city of Denver is expected to clear another migrant camp, this one off 39th Avenue in Central Park.
Well, it comes as another migrant camp gave the city a list of their demands in exchange for moving off the streets and into a shelter. Let's get to Greg Perez live in Denver this morning with the story here. Greg.
Good morning, Kirk and Ashley. Yes, this encampment behind me, the migrant encampment that you see behind me in Central Park, they have made a list of demands, about 13 of them. That was made just a couple of days ago. Of course, they've been living here for the past couple of weeks or so, and on top of that, the group says that if their demands are met, they will voluntarily stay in city-funded shelters and leave their encampment where families, including young children, still live in tents. So it's kind of been a tug of war between the two sides. The migrants have been lobbied by Denver Human Services to get off the street and into shelters, an offer that remains, according to city officials. Meanwhile, the migrants say the city withdrew the deal, while the city maintains it will continue to offer services to migrants that choose shelter over encampments. The list of demands from the migrants includes better food, as they have had grievances about the food provided by the city. They additionally want similar benefits to those in shelters, such as being put on a path towards a work permit.
Just imagine coming over here from a foreign country, third world country, developing country, right, to be politically correct. You can imagine that, again, life over there was not great, right? That you probably did have real food scarcity, okay? You probably did have to wake up every single day and worry about not just what you're going to eat, but if you're going to eat anything at all. So you come from that type of situation, allegedly, to coming over here to the United States and demanding 5-star meals, right? You're demanding this high quality food that you did not have access to in the country that you came from. At least, I don't know, maybe they did. I'm not entirely sure. Okay. But if you look at the food that is being given to the illegals in these shelters, right? Like, for example, the food that's being given to the migrants out in Boston, it doesn't look great, but it don't look that bad, especially considering how millions of taxpayer dollars are being used to feed these people.
Honestly, there's nothing edible.
Here are some of the dinners that taxpayers paid $21 for. Spaghetti with hot dogs and rice with one chicken drumstick.
The spaghetti with the hot dog in it. Really? We're paying $21 for that. Okay. It's crazy.
These lunches and dinners were given to migrants and homeless families at the Fairfield Inn, Dedham, Boston. The contract obtained by the I-Team shows the state is paying this one hotel $7,343,316 for food, with no provision or requirement that the meals be nutritious or meet USDA recommendations, leaving it up to the hotel to decide what to serve.
Yeah, so my opinion, the tragedy there is not the meal itself, right? Because that rice and chicken meal looked pretty good, okay? I could probably eat that every day and be happy, especially if I'm getting it for free. The tragedy is that taxpayers are paying $21 a meal for it, right? You're talking about $7 million going to one hotel or one company in order to feed people who don't pay into the system. Again, what is happening here, guys, is that you have companies, you have the friends of these politicians that give kickbacks to these politicians, right, that donate to these politicians, getting paid off a taxpayer dime, okay? This is why they're allowing this. This is why they're doing it, because the politicians are benefiting from this, okay? That's what's happening. And again, a lot of these businesses, a lot of these companies are getting these fat government contracts. It's a great way to make money, okay? It's taking care of these so-called migrants, right? So, yeah, this is what they're complaining about, though, right? These are the type of meals that they're complaining about.
They're not receiving any kind of official housing or immigration document support, which is incredibly necessary for them to be able to navigate the bureaucracy around these systems.
We try to compromise. We try to figure something out. You know, at the end of the day, what we do not want is families on the streets of Denver.
Other demands include shower access that will be available without time limits and can be accessed whenever needed.
Wow. Showers without time limits, aka we should just be able to run up your water bill, right? We should have a time limit on how much water we use to take a shower. Again, this is the type of stuff I'm talking about. This is uppity. I mean, because I've been to some of these countries, okay? And I got to tell you, you're lucky to get hot water even in a nice place, right? You can get a nice place in one of these countries that these people are from, and you will be lucky to consistently get hot water, right? If the hot water works one day, you're like, oh, well, this is great. Because a lot of days it don't work. So you come from that to, oh, no. We have to have unlimited showers when it comes to time limits. You can't put a time limit on how long I take a shower, how much water I use. Wow. Amazing. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is crazy, man. But again, this is, you know, a product of having weak politicians, because the honest to God truth is that these people should be deported, right? Get off our land, get off our private property, and we don't have any real obligation to take care of you. You don't pay into the system, and they should be deported, period, right? Period, okay? At the very least, you know, with these Democrat mayors, okay, they don't have deportation power, but I'd be like, at this point, I'd be like, look, I'm going to do it anyways, and I'll fight it out in court, right? That's what I would do, honestly. It can't be that expensive. It has to be cheaper to deport them anyways and just to take the fine for it, right? To take the judicial hit for it. I'm just saying. I'm just saying that's what I would do. That's exactly what I would do. Because, again, the federal government is not enforcing the laws. Somebody has to. But, again, this is why it is very important for Trump to win. And one of the things I'm most excited about if Trump wins is the fact that he's not going to be running for re-election, because he's only going to get one term. Therefore, he's not going to be bound by trying to, you know, win over, you know, the other side while he's in office. So he's going to have every incentive in the world to do what he actually really wants to do, especially when it comes to the problem of illegal immigration and having a mass deportation. Now, the liberals will boohoo, whine, and cry. They'll be at the border. AOC will be boohoo, crying, and all that stuff. Won't matter. Those tears may have worked a little bit during his first term, right? But they're not going to work during the second term because, again, there is no incentive for him to care at all. He's not running for re-election, so he can do what he wants to do. We have to have a mass deportation. Okay, we just have to. There is no other way around this except that, which is part of the reason why Trump has to win.
Medical professional visits that will happen regularly, and referrals for specialty care will be made as needed too. And all will receive the same housing support that has been offered to others. They cannot kick people out in 30 days without something stable established. So all in all, the migrants presented around 13 demands. Now, we have heard from the city, as you heard in the sound on tape just there, they really just do not want people in tents or kids in camps. So that's their goal. We're waiting to see on what the migrants say. On top of all of that, again, we still have the city that's going to be sweeping this encampment behind me starting today. Reporting live at 39th Street in Central Park, Greg Perez, Fox 31 News.
Wow. Wow, the entitlement is off the charts. But this is Biden's America, guys, right? All these liberal mayors, they're dealing with this problem because they say they want to be sanctuary cities. These migrants come into their cities, and now all of a sudden, they cost a lot of money to take care of. And when you try to take care of them, enough is never enough, right? They demanding luxury services, right? Luxury goods, luxury food, luxury housing, right? Luxury healthcare. It's just, again, it's amazing to see what's happening in 2024. We cannot forget that this issue is still a major issue that has to be taken care of. And this is all the more reason why Joe Biden has to be voted out this election season. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.